This is a just in case review, just in case. Okay. So this is about valuation. And one of the sections that we learned about under valuation or appraisals is probably the more common word for it. We learned about 3 different methods to establishing a value that an appraiser would use. One of them was called the cost approach, where we take the value of the property all the way down to bare land. We reconstruct the property, and then we do different levels of depreciation. That was number 1. Number 2, we did a sales comparison approach, which was all based on that idea of substitution. What this one really does is the income approach. And this is where we would take future income of a rental property to help determine its current value based on what they charge for rent, what they're able to get for rent. And the first thing that it talks about is a capitalization rate. And this is a rate of return that is in comparison to the net operating income, or NOI. So what you would do is you would have your gross income from all the rents. Then maybe there would be a vacancy rate where you maybe didn't have all the units rented all the time. Then minus all of your expenses, maintenance fees, lost rent, lawn care, snow removal, your fees to be the property manager. Then you get a net operating income. Gross is the big number, net is after expenses. So now we can use that net operating income, and really the capitalization rate is going to be based on the rate of return that an investor probably wants to get. And there's probably a common number out there. Personally, I hear between 8 and 12%, more specifically between 8 and 10%. I think that the market kind of helps determine that, and what your investor desires will help determine it as well. So we've got this income, total, and rate. So I've given you this little graphic here in the previous video, and income is going to be part, value is going to be total, and then rate is going to be rate. So if you want to know the income, you take total times rate. If you want to know the rate, you divide the part or income by the value. And if you want to know the value, you'll take the income divided by the rate. So I've given you 3 just quick little equations here asking what is the value. Well, here's what you would do in your calculator. So get out your calculators. And on your calculator, you would put in 28,000. We're doing income divided by rate to get value. So we would take the income of $28,000 and divide it by 8%, or 0.08. So if you take 28,000 divided by 0.08, you should get a number of $350,000. $350,000. And that is the value. Okay. If we want to know what the rate is, what the capitalization rate is, we're going to take income divided by value. So you would take $14,000 divided by $175,000. $14,000 divided by $175,000. And that's going to get you a number of 0.08. But how do we translate that into a percentage? 0.08 we've got to move that over 2 spaces, right? Because it's a 1/100th. So 0.08 equals 8%. So the capitalization rate for that is 8%. Our third formula is value times rate equals the income. So if we know we've got a value of $225,000 and a capitalization rate of 12%, we can determine the net operating income. So $225,000 into your calculator, $225,000 multiplied by 12%. And you put that into your calculator as 0.12. 0.12. And you get a net. I personally, when I've audited the exam, do not see this a lot. But I'm not going to say that you won't have it because it's on the outline for PSI. So I wanted to give you a little prep in order to help gear you towards that. But instead of part here, you should have income. Instead of total, you could put value and leave rate as rate. That would help you a little bit more specifically. Again, use this T-bar method. Up next, we're going to start talking about financing and the math questions that you'll have around that.